All right. Good afternoon, guys. This is Uber Maximus, aka Kid Millennium, and welcome back. We're streaming myself today, and here we go. So, what are you doing here exactly? Well, this is the first live thing I've ever done in a while. People wonder why I don't show myself. Why do I not show myself? Well, it's like it's just to protect myself, and more likely, it's basically more like of an ego I have going on, and man, I don't know where to start. And I mean, you can tell that I'm a little nervous right now. I had this whole planned out, but I guess it doesn't really make work sense anymore. And I don't know. I could just start with like an announcer. I'll be like, "Oh my God, hello, my name is Zach Roger. Nice to meet you, Zach Roger. My name is Cade or whatever, so and so." But the idea is just it doesn't really make any sense sometimes. But I mean, my idea was to get this stream and necessarily just talk about things. That's not necessarily about me, but more likely about who I am and what I do and what I hope to achieve. Right now, I'm just a senior in senior high, and once I graduate, I plan to go to community college. If not that, maybe hopefully transfer to a university. And I know what you're all thinking, like school's important. You gotta get good grades and all this stuff, and like what you want to do. Sometimes you have to figure out why it applies to all the stuff that you're learning, or how it applies to all the stuff that you're learning. And I know what you're thinking. Why do I have to take math? And if all I'm going to be doing is learning how to write books, or why am I going to be in an English class if all I'm going to be doing is learning how to, like, I don't know, fix tables or such. Like, I mean, it doesn't really make sense, but in a sense, it does. And the way it works, I don't know. I mean, what I've had, what I've been doing these past few months, more likely years, I had this idea for a hero, a character, and I don't think it's been going well. Not that I'm saying it hasn't, but I guess I've just been in the standstill. And I know you're wondering why. Let's see, can I like? Will it see me? Will it? Oh yeah, it saw me. Okay. Yeah, but what I've been doing a lot lately, I've been contemplating, I've been thinking, and oh, sorry. I know it might not make any sense, but I think I'm onto something here. And whatever I did, it's amazing. And I'm going to tell you the life of it. The year was 2011, 2012, going on to 2013. I always had this idea for a hero because most of the games I played were my favorite hero, like Spider-Man and, uh, Batman and, all that and such. And I created something out of my imagination, known as the hero. The hero wasn't really not really a retrospective idea. He was just known as the hero. He didn't have a name. He didn't have a way of living. He didn't, there wasn't really nothing I can do to present him. He basically just wore like a simple t-shirt, had like a brown vest with hiking boots and such. Supposedly to look like a adventurer and explorer. I bet you're all wondering where I got that idea from. Well, as a kid, I used to like Frogger, and I guess I was in a time period where Frogger had a character personality, which was interesting, but it didn't really make sense. But I guess that's what sold at the time. But now that I think about it, musically and ideally, I had this idea just for something because of that. And along the way there was music, there was culture, there was everything. And I think when I used to like playing that game, I felt like, oh my god, I want to make something like this. And every time I would listen to, like, as an example, as getting used to, like, to the music that my character was into or whatever I would use soundscapes. And soundscapes are a really cool thing to use, and I think really good music to listen to. And every time I would always think of it, I would always think to myself as a little narration about the hero. And then I would make like a little fancy title for the hero, like a chapter in the story. The years went by. I eventually got into a game known as Whoa. Well, I can say it, right? Yeah, it's correct. I'll say it. I got into a game called Wolfenstein, or the franchise at least, and it wasn't until 2013, 2012 where a friend of mine showed me the game, and he showed me this famous YouTuber called Next Gen Tactics, and I pretty much, you guys might not know who he is, but I think at that time he was a really good YouTuber for me. I flew in interest because of his interest in custom zombies and custom like World War II zombies, like that kind of thing. Like I used to be a big Call of Duty Zombies player at the time. I still am, but I'm not. I'm very rural about the games now. I just been so busy with my life and such. But I wanted to say that when he played Wolfenstein, I would say it was one of those games that had 4 difficulties: the beginner, intermediate, expert, and then you had like the deadly level, like the most unpredictable, the most hardest level in the entire game. Like Call of Duty, for example, veteran, or Halo, legendary, you know? And when I began using social media, I wanted a name for myself. And when I looked at that, I created something known as Uber. And what was really cool was that it was just an idea. I didn't have a cool like phrase or anything like that. And I'm sorry, I keep seeing my face. Yeah. And what was really cool was that this idea that I had, it sparked into something great. And I know what you're thinking. It may not really matter, or it might not, work, or it might not even care. People might not even worry or care. But I think what I created, what I made on my own, evolved into something great when I saw that. My hero idea became something better. And maybe like I might split it along the line. I might just call it the hero, and he might be like a deaf, silent kid, and who's really extraordinary about things. But as far as like evolving into like a hero, into like this whole hero idea, into this whole other character idea, it was amazing. So when Google Plus was still around, I know it's shutting down soon. The alter ego I had was Uber141. And yes, I mean, I made some mistakes. I've said some, I'm not saying I said some things, but I would say that I guess I was a kid and I did what a kid did. And, I'm still a kid. Like, hell, I'm 18 right now, so. But I would say that I guess I was a bit better than what I was before. And eventually my name kind of grew off of my Gmail account, which was Spider Ghost, which is something I guess when I barely got into the gaming as a kid, I didn't really have an Xbox or a Nintendo or a PlayStation or something like that. All I created was a simple account, and it was just a name that my brother had made for himself, but I can play. But I didn't really create the name until I created my Gmail account, Spider Ghost. So how I did it if I remember correctly, I don't know if I remember at all. Um, I created the name Spider Ghost out of curiosity. And what led to curiosity was the coolest thing I could ever make. Spider came from Spider Bite, from the gamer I used to like watching, Next Gen Tactics. If you're watching, you inspired me a lot to do so many things. The ghost part, I think it came from, I'm not really sure, because in 2013 I had a really deep interest in in I had a deep interest in Call of Duty at the time, and one of my favorite characters was Ghost from Simon Raleigh, aka Ghost, and it could have been that, or it could have been my interest in Call of Duty Ghost, but I wouldn't say that would be so, because at the time I was using my older brother's account, and I would say it probably did. I probably did create it at that time, because when I was 13, I was barely in 8th grade, and I don't think I had an account at that time yet. I might have created one, but I don't think I might. I don't think I might have. Like I said, I might have created it, but what I did was that I just stuck with it, Spider Ghost, and then 141. What 141 was for me was, my inspiration for that was, it was it was a lucky number for me. I saw it everywhere I went, and no matter where I saw it, I just saw it. It may have been like in a sequence of numbers, like 31415, like the pi formula, or I might have just saw it on a license plate, ABC 141 or whatever, or on a serial number as well. But the number never left my sight, and I also tied it to. I tied it to the Task Force 141 from Call of Duty. And I thought at the time, hey, that's a cool idea. That sounds really awesome. But I wasn't sure. So I left it as that, SpiderGhost141 at gmail.com. And that's my Gmail, in case you guys ever want to contact me. But leading on to that, I had to create a nickname. And I said to myself, I can use Spider Ghost. But then I thought to myself, gee, I already had this Uber idea going on, and, I wanted to make something cool. So I was like, oh, darn it. So I was like, darn, I didn't know what to do. So then I just said to myself, I can use the Uber. But I didn't know what to do, and I didn't think of the word Maximus until much later. The name Maximus came way much later. So for the time being, I used Uber 141. And at that time, I was in Google Plus. I roleplayed on certain accounts. I roleplayed on certain accounts, and damn it, I remember there used to be this one person I used to know, and God, if you're watching this, I forgot your name, but I'm sorry if I felt like I was being just kind of clingy at that time. I was only a kid. I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry, but I think there's a little bit of Google Plus in us that was like, we can do what we want, kind of technically, or something like that, without any care or in the world. But for a while, my name was Uber141. I started to become interested in propaganda, in anti-culture. One of the figures I was known for, what I was a believer in or a follower in, was Anonymous. And I don't really look at that anymore, but it still kind of ties a bit of interest in my mind because I liked conversations like that as a kid, like anarchy and being an anarchist and stuff like that, like like oh my god, like what's a government without its people, or what's a people without a proper government, or like stuff like that, like just like political stuff, political things that made you think and made you question. Like I was into that whole anarchist, like anti-government stuff, propaganda. And I mean, for a while I said to myself, nah, it doesn't really work sometimes. But I mean, I guess eventually I flew out of it because what I saw myself doing, I was way too young to get involved in that. And I said to myself, wow, this is, I'm not saying it's not you, but I mean, you're a kind guy, like you're with the whole interest of anarchy, I mean, like, that wouldn't work, like it just didn't make sense. Because at the time I was kind of shy. I was nice. I mean, I'm still nice now, but I mean, I'm a lot tougher than back then. But I mean, that trend for that whole anti thing kind of died out. But I mean, I still kind of look into it sometimes. Like I look at it like kind of like the kind of like the Robin Hood, or like the like stuff like that. Kind of like the Robin Hood, kind of like the V for Vendetta, or like the irons from Advanced Warfare, like stuff like political like views like that. I mean, that's what I like to look at sometimes, and that's really cool. But leading back to the Maximus, I think what I did was, for a while I was Uber 141, and then eventually it changed to Uber Maximus. The reason why was because at the time I wanted the name to be cooler, or and such. So I had to put like I think something like Maximus. But what ended up confusing me was that I said to myself, "Oh, gee, I have Spider Ghost 141, which is my Gmail account, and then I have Uber Maximus 141, which didn't really make sense." And I'm not saying it didn't, but it just didn't sound right. And then I said to myself, "Darn, that's not gonna work." So my idea from the Maximus was from things like Maximilian, like the name of a dog, or the best one for me I can relate to was Gladiator. The character's name was Maximus, I believe, if I'm right. Yeah, Maximus. Yeah, that was his name. And I thought it sounded really cool. Like a figure who was humble, but he's had the name of something great, which is cool. So when I said to myself, I can use the Uber and use Maximus, I said to myself, that'll work. Uber Maximus, And then eventually it became from like letters to abbreviated numbers. Like instead of Uber Maximus, at first it had the umlauts, the umlauts for like the vowel for the letter U. And what it was that it looked cool, but for people to not get confused, I added that. So it came from the idea from U with the louds BER, it became just the standard U, and then it changed to letters to 3E and an R. Or it was UB3R, yeah. Uber Maximus. And then the Maximus eventually changed too, from being like the word Maximus to a whole bunch of numbers, which was M4X1MU5, which was my idea in the first place, when I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. Kind of gives like a little heft. And I think this is the time when I also created my gamer tag, and I said to myself, do I want it to be Uber Maximus, or do I want it to be Do I want it to be um, just, you know, different? And I said to myself, I want it to be different. And what I ended up creating was, sorry, I look kind of wide in this, but I'm like, it's like, it's like that. But as I was saying, I think when I went to Uber Maximus, people said, mostly my best friend, shout out to you by the way, he said, well, it's not weird, it's not bad, it's different. And I think we're in a time where difference is not good, if I remember, or maybe difference was just not looked at properly. And he said it sounded like something from the future. Like, I would say 10 years from now, when I had this conversation back in 2015, 2014, when I barely had my Xbox account set up. It was something like that. It was like, okay, it looks interesting, but I just don't think it sounds not appropriate, but I think it just sounds way too advanced. And I said to myself, yeah, you're probably right, but I think it's really cool. And I stuck with that gamer tag ever since, and I've been known as Uber Maximus. And the idea for Kid Millennium, from Spider Ghost to Uber Maximus to Kid Millennium, the idea I sparked when I had an interest in making music. And, I made a couple of tracks here and there. Let me see if I can pull them up, actually. I might be able to pull them up. If not, then oh well. But I remember I used to have an interest in making music, and what was really cool was that doing this, I made something far more cooler than anything I've ever imagined. And when I was making the songs in the mid teens, I have to say that now because we're no longer in this decade. I mean, in a while, this decade's going to be over, but in the mid-teens, I would say 2015, 2016, I created something called Kid Millennium. And what I did was that at the time, I was still a kid, obviously, but I was a millennial. Because, I mean, I'm not sure if that would work. Because I was born in 2000, and I think that's when millennials were still around. But I was technically a millennial. And I said to myself, millennium kid, or kid millennium. And it is coined like that if I said it backwards. Like, instead of millennial kid, it was kid millennial, and it eventually went to kid millennium, which I got from the Millennium Falcon, which it sounded more better instead of millennial, which kid millennial was, I wouldn't say it was not interesting. I just thought about it and I said, I don't know what sounds better, kid millennium or kid millennial. And I said to myself, well, I think kid millennial sounds cool, but then kid millennium sounded a bit, I wouldn't say, like, it doesn't really, like, I guess it didn't really matter in the sense, but I think the official term eventually landed on kid millennium. And I got it from another thing called Kid Fury, which was a fictional name of a show I watched before. And so that kind of bounced off of that with Millennial Kid, and then, like being a millennial and Kid Millennium. Like, the ideas just kind of bounced around. And what I ended up doing was that I ended up making something really cool. And that's what eventually led to that. But as far as as far as being a kid millennium, I mean, that's just all it came by. It was just an idea that I had for, I don't like seeing my face. It was just an idea for, it was just an idea that I had for a song. And eventually it became a character itself. And what was really cool about that was that my idea from the hero to Spider Ghost to Uber 141 to Uber Maximus and finally the Kid Millennium, I actually I made something really cool. And the sad thing is that I don't think there's people in this world or people that I would know that would find my idea interesting. I mean, yeah, it may not make sense. Like, what kind of name is Kid Millennium, for example, you know? What kind of name is Uber Maximus if it doesn't live up to its name? Or, like, it's like you're underrated, you're underestimated. And yeah, the name may sound like something, but I mean, there's a people, I mean, for me, like, I'm not really like the best, and I try to be the best. At gaming, making music, streaming, Like, I like living up to the name, but I think the magic of it is that even with the biggest name, you're like the most basic individual, but you're relatable. Not by a sense of like talent and popularity, like, oh my god, check it out, it's Uber Maximus with the new latest technology, with the new latest video game stream, whatever. It's just like, hey, have you ever heard of? It's more like, have you ever heard of Uber Maximus? No, I've heard of him. He's a good guy, and unlike his name, he actually has a good reputation. That's like a hero reputation, not one with popularity, but one with the heart of the people or something like that. I mean, it's just my idea, but it may not make sense, but it was just something I came up with. And eventually, what became the idea of the hero was when I started influencing myself with vigilantes and renegades and characters who had good hearts, and then the characters that were like, who looked sleek but had like troubled lifestyles. But then I started moving towards characters who had the same physical appearance, but they had bigger hearts than most characters did, or big, like the protagonist of some shows or for cartoons that I don't want to mention just to save time, but I mean, the protagonist I started looking into, like, the protagonist always had a slick haircut, or like some type of sense, and then he always had a side character or like a partner who resembled the main character, but who was more on the bright side, rather than the hero who went into the darkness himself. And those two characters I always paid attention to, as far as like being like the shy one, being like the big guy who was shy but with the big heart, and then comparing to like the guy who was slim but who was a hot shot, and had a heart of steel and care. It just bounced back and forth with stuff like that, and I said to myself, with the hero I wanted to make, it had a sense of two personalities: the side character, and then the main protagonist. And I ended up thinking of something like, hey, maybe the main protagonist could be the big shy guy, or the main protagonist could be like the main, character, like always, like it's always been in the skits, like it's always been in the things. But eventually, I said to myself, okay, I have to do it soon, because pretty soon, it might not even might not be able to even think of this soon. Somebody else might think of it before me. But the logo that I made, the logo that I found of the Uber, of the symbol, that's what started it all. Going back to Wolfenstein, the game, the difficulty was interesting as a title. And that was my main title, Uber. But I didn't think about a logo until a bit after, because when I made the logo, I said to myself, okay, I have to figure out what this character is going to be, what this logo is going to be. And I said to myself, well, the first letter is a umlaut with, it's a letter U with the umlauts on it. And when you look at it, it kind of gives like the smile. And when you see it, it's kind of similar to Jack U, for example. But instead of it being like a musical production, like a group, which I really love, by the way, you guys are amazing. It was more derivative towards a hero who bears the same symbol. And yeah, like there's rights and copyrights and issues and all that stuff. But when I made it, I had no knowledge of Jack U. I had no idea that it was a thing or, but when I saw it for the first time, it helped me kind of innovate myself and inspire myself to say, hey, maybe I can actually use something like this. Not towards like music, but maybe towards like a character or a superhero who bears the same symbol. And I said to myself, that'll work. So upon making the gamer tag, I lived on the gamer tag for a while, and eventually when it became to like making the hero, like I said, I influenced myself with the protagonists of some characters who were guys, and like the side characters who had like the whole like sleek, angsty attitude, and then mixing it with the ones who didn't have the sleek, angsty attitude, whether rather than with the good heart and with the big, heart of steel, big courage, big help, and all that stuff. Like there's a good balance of that in most of the cartoons we see. There's always the kid who looks pretty sleek and cool, tries to look cool, and then there's always the kid who kind of looks vaguely the same, but you can tell his by his body motion that he's a shy character, or he's like a very sensitive, shy character, and you can actually see that. But then like when you kind of balance it out, you get a different protagonist or you get a different side character. But what's really cool is that you can actually relate in a sense. Like, for example, like Voltron, for example, there's two characters. There's like I would say there's three. I would just go by their names, not names, but their colors. The blue one, the blue character. He was outgoing. He was very like proactive. He tried to be like he was like the hot shot, while the red character was kind of angsty and dark and all that stuff. But in the end, he became more like they all matured in a sense. And as far as like the yellow character, he was shy, caring, but he had like a big strong care, and you can physically see that. While other characters' traits were more of what you saw, like being the hotshot or being the angsty person. But I'm not saying all the characters don't have heart, but I'm saying like each character displays a bit, but only one physically shows it in a sense. So as far as that, I experimented with myself, how I looked between side protagonists and main protagonists. Like I said, like the haircut. I had a mohawk one time to fit somebody's style in the cartoon that I watched before, and stuff like that. But as far as long thing we're in a half hour, but as far as that, I mean, there was nothing that I don't think I wasn't able to do after that. I mean, I made music, I made little books here and there about my character, and like he kind of kept like that physical form. That I'm not saying that like you have to be in a physical fit to be a hero. I'm not saying that. Anybody can be a hero. It just matters if they take the chance to be. And it can be anybody. It can be a big guy, tall guy, skinny guy, fat guy. I mean, a lot of our times there's superheroes who always maintain a formal fit. And I'm not saying I'm planning to make a hero who's fat, but I like to break that boundary. Maybe create a side character who's like that. Because the character I created was based off of me. Not necessarily me, but the things I couldn't do, my character does. I couldn't skydive. I couldn't. I mean, there were things I had done, but I think with my character, there are things that I can do so much more. I mean, I hate heights and I hate railings, but my character has the thrill for that, And then there are some things that he does that I can't do, and then there are some things that I can do that he can't. But what's really cool is finding the middle. Like, I like music, he likes music. I like talking, he likes talking. I like to socialize or spend time to myself. He likes to socialize or spend time by himself, you know? And, like, there's some things that he's afraid of, I'm afraid of too. There's some things that I am not afraid of, but I make him afraid of. And then there's some things that I'm totally afraid of that he's not afraid of. It's just like a big balance. Like, there's samples of all my interests and all my dislikes in this character. And what I did, I made him I think I made him an interesting character, but he's just the person on paper. He's living in my mind right now. He hasn't been on a TV show. He hasn't been introduced to anyone. And I'm saying, like, if there's anybody who can help me, I want to share this, because this is something that I want to do. This is something that I want to create. This is somebody I want to voice act. I want to voice act my own character. I mean, yeah, I'm a bit old, but I mean, I can probably edit my voice somehow. Make me sound like a kid or like a young adult or something like that, of that nature. But what I created, I think I made something amazing. And I think it's beautiful. What he's into culturally, musically, it's like myself. And like I said, I made it like myself, but I added some things that I may have liked that he doesn't, and I may have added some things that I don't like that he does. And I like that balance because it helps me relate to the things I could have done that I want to do, and to the things that I've never been able to do. And I can just see myself in this character doing all the things I could never do, and then doing the things I couldn't have done. And I know what you're thinking, like, this thing has no views. It's 37 minutes in. But I wanted to say, this is something I'm happy that I made. What is his name? I came up with Kid Maximus because it reminded me of a friend whose name was Kid. And he had some guts, I'll tell you that. He was really cool. Not a lot of people thought so, but I thought he was really awesome. And at that time, I was going through some things with some friends, and, I just hope one day, like I said, I made the character relate to some things that I can, and not relatable to things that I'm not relatable to. So it's like a shift with the character. There's some things that I can relate to that he can or cannot. Like friends. And it may not just be that story. It can be something else. But whatever I do with this character, I really want it to be impactful, to bring people together, to make people be like, oh my God, the show just ended. Not like, oh man, the show's over. There's two, like, for me, there's always two people that say that. There's the people that binge watch all the time. They're like, oh man, the show's over already. And then there's people who I have no offense to those guys who say, oh man, it's over already. I mean, if that's how you feel, go watch another thing. Like, that's why I'm here. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. I want to make something for you guys to come back to. Be like, oh my God, he made another thing. That's amazing. And then there's those people that they know there will never be anything like that again. And they'll be, wow, the show's over. Now what? Like you just finished the most greatest TV show of all time, and it's over. Just like that. You binge watched countless hours, countless days, countless years of watching a TV show. And the last day, the last episode, the last second is gone. And you look back at yourself and you think, wow, I can't believe I made something like that, or I can't believe I watched something like that. Next thing you know, you have merchandise, you have things relating to it. And then when that's created, you have spin-offs based off the same show that you made years prior, weeks prior, months prior. You know? And with Cade Maximus, I want him to shake the world. I want the world to feel what he feels. I want the world to greet him like he would greet the world. And I know what I do, I'm going to make it impactful. And yes, there are a lot of things that I'm not sure about, like adding this or adding that. And there's some things that I want to make, but there's so much time. There's so little time or something. And it's just wow. And I just hope that whatever I do with this character, I want him to go down in history. Much like all the other cartoons did. The groundbreaking cartoons that were like, oh my God, this thing was so amazing as a kid. I want people to go back and not rewatch it, but relive their memories of what they used to look like, what they used to watch. With this character, I think there's so much more that I can do. Not just relating to me, but relating to the influences that I've experienced, relating to the influences that he experiences in the film, in the cartoons, in the film, in the movies, in the cartoon, that stuff. Because I know I relate to a lot of things, in a sense, And what I really like for my character to do is to relate to people in the real world. And all he wants to do is help. Well, it's about 42 minutes in. And I already told you my whole story about what I created. And there's other stories along the way too. Like The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Earthio. Well, The Boy Who Cried Wolf was more likely a story I made. And I switched the title to The Boy Who Complimented Wolf. Because, like another story, I know there's some stories that, like Little Red Riding Hood, the whole fable becomes an actual, story when some guy makes it like an actual story about this lumberjack, this wolf, this agency, and all this. I mean, if you know what I'm referring to, then you get what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm trying to make something amazing out of a cartoon that's basically just for fables, Like, why does the boy cry the wolf? Why did he cry the wolf? To make jokes, right? But why are the villagers mad? I shouldn't be doing that. Why are the villagers mad? Why is it that the wolf attacks? Why is it that, why is there not a story about it? I'm not saying there isn't a story about it. It's a fable. It's being told over and over to never lie, even when you tell the truth. Liars don't lie. No one believes liars, even when they're telling the truth. But the story of that was, yeah, don't lie, obviously. But my idea was to extend on that. Have a story about it. Like, who's the boy's mom? Does the wolf have family? Was the wolf born from something that I guess made him want to eat the sheep all the time? Or, stuff like that. And I think it's something amazing, too, that I'm working on as well. And I've had darker stories. I've had darker stories before. one for example I'm making, and it's kind of like, like murdery kind of like thing, like that kind of thing where it's like, oh my god, this is murder and all this stuff. And supposedly the kid, there's one thing I made about the story about a high school kid who gets revenge and kills all his friends and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to go into deep detail because one, it's stuff that not that I have thought of killing my friends, like that'd be crazy, but um I admit I might have, maybe. That might be psycho or whatever, but I mean, I'm not going to do that. But I mean, this is the thoughts of it. It kind of just gnaws at your head. But I mean, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to do that ever. But I guess just, I would say the book that I made about that I'm writing about that, just, like when you hate somebody or like when you have like this dislikeness, and when someone hurts you so bad, all you want to do is just hurt them back. That's just basically what the story is that I wrote it for. The reason I wrote it, you know? But I mean, I would say that I wrote it based on the friends I've had, based on my experiences. And I think that I'll write that later on. Right now, I just think I just might be a little too sensitive to write, because I know there's some things that I would feel. There's some things I would, dislike, and you know, it's just a process. But you know, anyway, I made other stories too, like Boy Meets World, or it's a story where I guess a kid goes to he goes to vacation. He likes the outdoors, like a really nice kid. And the story is that he's told not to travel into a forest where many kids have got lost, and he does, you know, just out of curiosity. And what he finds is not his death, but another world within that forest, beyond the fabric of space and time. And yeah, I caught myself in the thought. I just got affected by a TV show like not too long ago, and it really kind of gets me a little bit. Like, if you guys watch, like, have you ever watched the Voltron series, like, on Netflix? You guys should watch it. I think it really reminds you of those TV shows I used to watch as a kid. Not necessarily like a story, but it emotionally grabbed you, in a sense. And this whole earthy idea, the universe that I made for my character, is the universe that he lives in. And I think whatever I do, like I said, I'm going to make it impactful. And I made a lot of songs before, and I made a lot of like little side songs, like little side books, but there's really nothing like as far as sharing my ideas a possibility. I've been trying to, but I don't know where to go. And I know what you're thinking. This doesn't really make any sense, what I'm talking about, but I just want to do. I only have one life. One life is all you get. And what I want to do, I want to do it all before my life is up, or before I'm even an adult, or like I'm living a family and such. You know? There's just so many things I want to do, and there's so little time. And that matters to me. And I know what you're thinking, like, geez, man, you're wasting your life away. There's so many things you can do elsewhere. You can find peace and tranquility, and all this stuff. Like, leave everything behind. Like, this stuff like this, the biggest speaker in the world doesn't matter. The smartest phone doesn't matter. The coolest earbuds in the world. Oh, I'm sorry, see my face. The coolest earbuds in the world don't matter. The best controller doesn't matter, and such. But the thing is, that matters to me. That's my peace and tranquility. I like learning. Not math and literature, but culture, music, movies, TV shows, entertainment. That's my interest. And maybe I might make a character one of these days based off of that, of my interest. Not maybe like I said, K Maximus is that character, but maybe like a side character who's into nothing but culture, like the side character who finds love and interest in something, something like that. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're probably not listening to me, but I really hope with whatever I do, I get to be awesome at it. And shows that really inspire me, they seem to have it all planned out. And I'm pretty sure there's things that they deleted, things that they removed, things that they took out for it to make sense. And then that's where my trouble comes in, because there's so many things I want to add, but I want it to make sense. And I want it to fit in the story. You know? And as projects, they're never done. And I believe that because every time I always work on something, I always find myself fixing it back together. Or every time I finish something, I can't help but feel like a little flaw or see a little flaw. And through time, you look at that flaw and it never goes away. And you can never fix it. You know, it's like you carve something in the ice or you carve something on a stone and it always stays there, you know? You can never fix it or something like that. But what I'm trying to say is that there are so many flaws in life that you're going to have to deal with them. But like I said, no matter what I do, no matter how many flaws I make, no matter how many flaws I have, I know I'm going to make something that you will never forget. And that's it for today. I believe it's about 52 minutes. And you just saw my fat chin. But as I was saying, I really hope you enjoy with what I have to make soon. And that's it, I guess. All I want to do is just make something amazing, and hopefully I get to be a part of it. A part of a story, a part of something that you'll go and say, well, that show is over. Or that show is over. Let's watch it. Let's watch another one or something, you know? I want to be impactful to you guys. That's all I want to do. And for sure, I'm going to have fun doing it. This has been an interview with myself. I hope you all enjoy. And is now forever and always. Thank you for watching. And have a happy spring break.